Hey there. Welcome to Millennium Milestone Presents, a site dedicated to storytelling in books, movies, video games, and other exciting genres where ironclad bikinis have finally made their comeback. The world is healing. Now, it does warm my heart to see a voluptuous redhead on screen, but make no mistake, I do have quite a bit to say about this movie, so buckle up, here we go. So here's the story. Captured and chained and forced to fight for survival, Red Sonja must battle her way through the blood-soaked pits of a tyrant's empire while rallying an army of outcasts to reclaim her freedom and take down Dragon and his worthless bride, Dark Anissa. We open up the story to the past, where Sonja's village is attacked by marauders who slaughter everyone inside. She barely escapes with her life and lives her days out as a nomad in the Herculean forest with her horse Hero. But as luck would have it, marauders go after animals in her territory for their ivory. Sonja takes exception to this and follows them to a fort outside of the forest. There she meets for the first time Emperor Draken and his mistress, Dark Anissa. Quickly, Sonja is taken captive and used for gladiatorial sport.
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Well, I would hold your horses for just a moment as we acknowledge that, first off, this movie is developed and directed by MJ Bassett and Tasha Huo, who are both noted for doing pretty much B-movies or bad sequels. So let's see how they fan out.
Because diversity.
Now, I'm not going out of my way to say that this is a woke movie or that it's got woke themes. Well, there are some peppered, interesting themes in this movie that really make you wonder what they were thinking when they came up with this. For instance, Red Sonja is made to be a nature lover who defends the animals and the environment.
Say what?
In fact, for the majority of the film, her entire focus is on whatever man does to the animals. There's no moment where she's concerned with, maybe people that had died in her village or even people along the way that have suffered or been attacked by anyone. But no, we get animals being the focal point here. Now, you might wonder why I find that to be a bit of a nuisance. Keep in mind that in the comics, Red Sonja is known to be an adventurer, a person that wants revenge for her family being obliterated. This is not someone that cares about animals and nature and all that stuff. This is just inserted ideologies that had nothing to do with the original story. Also, the villains in this are absolutely bland and ridiculous. Take, for instance, Draken, who turns out to be nothing but a whining little bitch who hides behind his henchmen to do all his dirty work. He's an inventor and knows how to decipher codes, but you get no sense of what his real motivations are for doing any of this other than that there's a prophecy that says that he's supposed to conquer the world. Almost like Alexander the Great, or maybe for modern terms, man. Son of a... And then we go to Dark Anissa, who is portrayed as a schizophrenic who hears voices in her head all the time. That doesn't sound familiar. And wants to kill at random. Loves her boyfriend, hopes to marry him, but is played around for the most part. But other than that, she's just a bland henchman. And to add a little bit to what makes that a little bit more frustrating, going back to the voices, at no point do those voices actually contribute anything to the story other than it just says that she's crazy. So at no point do they become demons or do anything. Does she become a monster because of them? They're just voices in her head. What's the point? Now, I did see the original Red Sonja movie from decades ago, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a masterpiece, a cinematic achievement of any sort, but I could definitely say that that movie has miles better quality than what I'm seeing with this movie right now. I mean, don't get me started with the CGI monsters. In one part of the movie, you get this Cyclops that shows up, and I gotta say, I don't know who came up with this monster, but it looks nothing in comparison to the better claymation monsters you've gotten in Jason and the Argonauts, or even Clash of the Titans back in the old days. Probably the part that really annoys me about this movie is, of course, the plot is very incredibly paper thin. You have, again, Red Sonja's main motivation in all this is just to get revenge for animals, which eventually leads to her wanting to protect friends, but even the friends are not even made that important in this. You have Rona Mitra in this film, who's a huge star back in the day, who basically gets the Carrie Moss treatment from The Acolyte. And of course, the men in this are treated like a joke. They aren't given an opportunity to offer any real advice to Sonja, because heaven forbid they ever do that. And they're just made to look like either wimps or they lean to whatever the women say. And don't get me wrong, seeing Red Sonja in that nice, beautiful looking ironclad bikini is pretty easy on the eyes, I'm not gonna lie. But none of that matters if you don't have a story to get behind. And that's maybe the biggest problem of all with Red Sonja, is that it gives you nothing of a payoff to anything that happens beginning to mid or even to the end of this film. Even with Draken, when his death happens, and yes, I'm spoiling that because, quite frankly, I don't care about spoiling anything in this film. It's revealed, of course, that he was a childhood friend that Red Sonja abandoned in the village. Which, again, this was not even mentioned until a good portion of the film later. And Red Sonja, instead of having an epic battle with him, ends up sitting right next to him to watch him slowly die. I might as well have been like Carrie Moss right about now. Well, to sum it up, I would give Red Sonja a rating of mid. There's nothing I could really say. It's not the worst film I've seen. Trust me, I've seen far worse, but this is not something that's really going to tick the clocks for me in any way. It's just a very bland film that you can just sit back and watch, but not really be entertained by anything in this way. Well, that's basically all I have to say about this. Maybe you guys have different thoughts on this. I'd love to hear them as well. And, especially if I have given you any bit of sound advice about this that's of value, please let me know. Like, share, and subscribe, and you best better believe I'll be back.